my sessions, and you're welcome to use it too. It is a shared playlist. So here I am. I have chosen to share my screen, and now I'm going to start my playlist. And I am hearing the music come out of my computer, and my participants will be hearing that too. Now, I want to make sure it's not up too loud, so I'm going to turn it down some over here. And then while my folks are logging in, I'm actually going to have the Spotify in a different window so that my viewers don't see it, because all I want them to see is my slide preview screen that makes my meeting look really professional and cool. So I hope that helps you have music in the background while your participants are joining your Zoom webinar or meeting. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the meeting. Can you hear me all right? Anybody?
Yes, Mike, this is Eloisa. Yes.
Eloisa.
Hi, how are you?
Yes, Mike, I hear you well.
Good.
Thank you. Mike,
Yes.
I'm logged in twice. I'm logged in as Maria Teresa Ray as well, but that's not my intention. I want to log in as a participant so that I can hear the other interpreters. I don't know how to do that.
Absolutely. So what we need all the interpreters to do is to rename them. I see Claudia's done it, but if you can put your language pair at the front, then INT for interpreter, and then your name. It just helps me to put you in your booths very quickly. I don't have to ask you.
Yeah, I have to I have to remember how to do that again. I forgot.
If
I
you
know.
click on the 3 dots at the top of your name,
Okay. I don't even see the 3 dots or my name.
okay, in the main,
Oh, I see it. I see it. No, I see it. Yeah, I'm
where it
doing it
says
now.
mute.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, great.
So you want the language pair first and then our name.
Yeah.
Mike, this is
Hi.
Eloisa again.
Yes.
I want to do the same thing as Teresa. I mean, I want to be here as an interpreter
Yeah.
and the other computer as a participant. So here I'm already, I changed my name already.
I will just put it in the standard format. Sorry,
let me see.
not a problem. Let me do it. Just so the pair comes at the beginning. Then we just put INT. Just to standardize it. So you can see I've renamed you French English. You don't need to put interpreter.
Yeah, that's it. I did it. Okay, French English interpreter and then Eloisa.
So just INT for interpreter. So if everybody does it like that, Teresa, if you just put INT, I know you're an interpreter.
Okay, I will.
But just so everybody knows.
Alô, testando.
Who was working with David? Oops, I just shared my WhatsApp screen with the waiting room. So Portuguese, English, French, English. Eloisa?
Oh, yes.
So Eloisa MC is you as a participant, yes?
Yes, that's it.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
I'll send you to the waiting room. No. Okay, Claudia. Hi.
Hi, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Looking forward to a good meeting.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just standardize and...
You're gonna put me in the booth with Silvana?
Yes.
French, Portuguese, Portuguese, French. Okay.
Yeah, multitasking at the moment. Good.
Although however, I don't see the...
You don't see? Hey, Lisa's gone to join Rosie.
Are we in the same meeting?
Well, there's the other meeting that Rosie's running, but you registered for this meeting.
Yeah, I know, but I still don't understand what the difference between the meetings.
Well, the other meeting is a meeting of the World Social Forum. This is the World Assembly of Inhabitants.
Okay. But it's not part of the forum.
It's happening within the forum. The forum is a space for many meetings. So there are 800 meetings going on this week.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware of that.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
So let me just check the waiting room. There's Christina. Okay. Hola, Chris.
Hola.
Welcome. See the top of your head. Hi.
Hi.
Good. So people are just arriving. I'm waiting for everybody. They're a bit late. It's 4:45. But the allocation of the booths is very quick these days. Christina, you come in and as are you moderating? No, you're not.
No, Mike. No,
Okay.
because I have many problems with my Wi-Fi and
See?
other things.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, fine. Okay, some people are joining the waiting room. We'll get ready. We've got 3 participants there.
Mike, I think Ernesto Paez
Yeah,
is volunteer to
to do what?
To use the button to Spanish.
Oh, okay. Okay, I've let him in. You can speak with him and organize. Is all right?
I can speak with I'm sorry.
With Ernesto.
You speak with Ernesto.
No, you can
No?
speak to Ernesto now.
Yes, I can speak.
Aquí. Adriana. Giuliano, hi. Silvana, welcome. Hi, Silvana.
Hello, Mike. Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Good morning for you. It's late afternoon for
Mike.
me.
Oh, hi,
Hi,
Silvana.
Adriana.
Hi, Adriana.
Hi, how you doing?
So,
Fine.
Silvana,
Good.
let me just
Yeah.
rename. Your pair is...
Claudia Corbusier.
And your language
Yes,
pair
that's it.
is...
French, Portuguese booth.
French, Portuguese.
Good morning.
Giuliano, how are you, my friend?
Morning.
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Very well. Thank you. Welcome. Portuguese, French, Silvana, and Claudia.
Yeah.
Okay. Eloisa, hi. Adriana, let me do you next. Sorry, I muted you by mistake.
Yes, I'm just rename myself ENFR interpreter.
Okay, fantastic.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
Great.
I'll just
Okay.
homogenize it there. Eloisa, hi.
Yes, I'm just rename myself as well, and
In that format.
I'm with FR.
She's with me, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
French, English.
Thanks,
Mike,
guys.
Teresa told me you needed someone for Portuguese and Spanish.
Yes.
Is there someone else, or is it going to be only me?
We're competing with Rosie across at World Social Forum, so I'm not sure who's going to turn up. So Portuguese, Spanish, at the moment, I only have you,
Okay.
Giuliano.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike, see, that's the thing, this competition with Rosie's room. I just found out David is there. He's there he's going to be doing English. Yeah, he's going to be doing English, English Portuguese there.
Wow, so he
told,
left you alone. What about Anna Nystrom?
no, Anna Nystrom is coming. She's going to log on. So I'm talking to her here on WhatsApp. She's coming.
There's Juan Esteban Correa. Isn't he an interpreter? Juan Esteban? Okay.
And Giuliano, can you hear me, Giuliano?
Yes, I can.
Okay, yeah, I told David that you can only be here for the first hour, so therefore he would need his service would be needed for Spanish, but I guess he already committed to Rose's group. He's there right now.
Who?
David Haxton.
Okay.
Haxton.
Yeah.
I know.
So we only have you for Spanish here.
There's Anna. One thing I would ask everybody to do, most of you are fine, just make sure that the original feed is not too loud. And
Hi, Mike.
It's bleeding into your microphone. Hi, Anna. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
Sometimes,
Wait, it is.
sometimes we can hear the original feed coming through your microphone and into the channel. So just try and be conscious of that. Anna, where are you? There.
You're muted, Anna.
You're muted, Anna.
And Anna, you have to
Hi, I
rename.
just renamed. Yeah, I just
good.
renamed. Okay.
Also try to put the INT initials for interpreter before your name.
Okay.
That lets all the participants know.
We are separated as interpreter in the participants.
Yeah.
You can see the small.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll include it here.
True.
So,
Mike, you said that you also, I know you're super busy there, but you're going to show us how to enter the meet as a participant so that we can also get into the booth when our colleague is doing interpretation. If it's not possible, it's okay.
No, it's very easy. You just link using the registration link. But then you have to register on your second device.
Yeah, that's what I have.
I'm going to do that.
So on your second device, just use the same registration link.
Okay. I did, but then I got in again as an interpreter.
Oh. Well,
no, you can enter with two devices, and in one of them, you will be put in a booth, and in the other one, you will not be put in a booth.
Okay, I'm trying.
So it's not you that decide if that user is the interpreter or not, but the host.
Yeah, it's better if you rename yourself, it's easier. If you put different names. I've just renamed myself in my second device as backup device Adriana, so there's no misunderstanding, for instance.
And I won't mute you or delete you by mistake.
Yeah, and I've muted myself on the second device. I just use it for listening or relay.
But Mike, you're still going to assign us, right, as interpreter?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
in 3 minutes.
Okay, yeah, just so I'm entering my second device.
Great. As usual with the World Social Forum, timekeeping is not our best ability.
Yeah.
You know, after 20 years, I'm used to it, but I apologize for those of you who want.
I can see that we have for French and Portuguese, Silvana and Claudia, right?
Excellent.
And French, English, Adriana and Eloisa. And English, Portuguese, Teresa and Ana.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it, right?
So basically we're covered, yes. You're doing what? Spanish, Portuguese, right, Juliana?
Yes.
So that's great. Okay, so that's covered too.
Okay. I will start allocating the booths now.
Okay.
See, I mean, again, now on my second device, I mean, is Maria Teresa Ray. So it's up to Mike then to decide who is a participant and
Exactly.
who is, okay.
Mike, please.
Actually, you should be the interpreter with the device where you are using this headset.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
And the other headset or the worst headset should be the participant.
Yeah, I don't even have a headset for the other one, so in this one doesn't fit. So please,
Oh,
Mike.
I think it's not going to be possible for you to be as a participant as well, because otherwise you would have to change the headset from one device to the other. Is that what you're doing?
No, I can just use the audio from the computer from the other device.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Mike, please. Mike.
Yes. Hi.
I'm looking Ernesto Paez in the participants list. Can you speak with him or
I will make you
everybody in Spanish?
You are now the co-host. Sorry, I need to do this interpretation first.
Ernesto, ¿estás ahí?
I can't do it right now.
Ernesto. Ernesto. No. I'm sorry.
Maybe on WhatsApp.
Hello, Mike. I think you are trying to put me in the English Portuguese, but that's wrong.
Yeah, thank you. There you go.
Juliano notices everything.
Yeah,
because I received the invitation and it says English Portuguese. Then
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay. Who haven't I done? I've done Silvana,
Francesca,
Teresa, Juliana, Anna, Francesca coming up now. Italian, English, Italian. Done. Boom, 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 boom. Who's next? Eloisa, I haven't done you. French, English.
Has yet received my invitation. Did you send it?
It should be coming through any second. I like to do them one at a time now and then
yes,
update.
That's right. You're absolutely right. So there's no problem and no confusion.
Adriana, English, French. Update.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it.
Great.
English, French. Yes, I'm in.
So, Silvana, you're in the waiting room. I don't need to let you in. Christina, can you watch the waiting room? We've got 3 minutes.
What? I'm sorry, Mike.
I wanted you to watch the waiting room to let the panelists.
Okay.
I'm not in the booth, Mike. I'm not in the booth.
Oh, you didn't change your name, did you?
I did at the beginning.
Yeah.
Do I have to leave? I leave and I.
No, I'm going to add you again. I took you out and don't leave. No.
Okay.
Francesca. Italian, English. update. Any luck?
No, not until now. Let's see.
Hi, Faeza. How are you?
No, it's better. It's better that I leave. It's better that I leave and
Okay,
re-enter.
leave and come back, but I need to
Yes,
make sure I let
otherwise
you in
we
the
will never
waiting
try.
room.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, comrade.
Hi, how are you,
Hi,
comrade?
comrade.
I'm good,
I'm good,
thanks.
thank you. How are you?
Now, I cannot leave.
Okay, so who's waiting for a booth?
Mike, I still not have a booth.
Don't you, Claudia? Okay, 1 second. Thank you. There you are, French, Portuguese. French, Portuguese. Okay, Claudia, you should get it now.
Okay.
Hi, Hillary. Hi, Lords.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike. Hello.
Welcome. Hillary, we're just allocating the interpreters to the booth. We'll just be a couple more minutes.
Okay.
But you can chat with the other panelists. Faeza is here, for instance.
Okay.
Probably better. Let me just, every time that bell rings, it takes me out. Lord's English, Spanish.
Yes.
Update.
Is there anyone around for this combination, or because there might be gaps in
There
the
might be
interpreting?
gaps. Yeah.
Yes.
Please don't stress. Don't stress. And if you need a break, you take a break.
Okay.
Your health is the #1 issue.
Okay. Yeah? Do we have a priority into English or into Spanish if
English,
I have to choose?
Well, Claudia might be able to do English, Spanish as well. On a relay, not Claudia, Francesca.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll muddle through. Did you get your booth?
Yes, I'm going in. Thanks.
Okay. Anybody else need a booth? Great. Okay. There's Yolandi from Habitat International. Everybody's shouting at me to let them in. Stop it. How can I get rid of that horrible bell that rings?
I'm back.
Hi. Okay, let's get you in your room.
Yes.
Add interpreter. Francesca, where can I see you?
Okay.
There.
Ready.
Italian, English. Good. There you go, Francesca. Good luck.
Ciao, ciao.
Hi, Anna.
Buongiorno a tutti. Ciao, ciao.
Bonjour, ça y est, ça marche.
Oui, ciao Anna. Ça va, aussi rentré.
It's working now, yes. I had some difficulties.
No, Mike, I don't see the booth. I'm not in the booth.
Let me try again. It says you're in the booth.
No, I connect.
I'll remove you and I add you.
Yes, otherwise I will try to connect from my PC.
Just let me try this. Yeah.
Yes.
Italian, English, There. Please tell me it worked. Cloud?
No.
Francesca? No. What device are you on?
I'm a tablet,
Oh,
like yesterday.
yeah, worked fine
Last time I was
yesterday.
here. No.
Um,
Now I'm trying to connect with my PC now. Let's see from there.
Okay, I'll take you out the interpreters.
Yes, to the others, and then I'll go back.
Okay. Hi, everybody. We should be able to start in a minute. Cesare, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
Anna
But,
is here.
Yeah. Anna is there. Who is a timekeeper? Are there any timekeeper?
No. Who volunteered for timekeeping? I can't do it. You're moderating, so can you watch the time as well?
Yes, no, I can't.
Okay, I will try and watch the time. Okay, can I open the waiting room and let people join?
Yes, better. Are there any music? No, not possible.
It was impossible for me to do. I tried. I did do a screen show in the waiting room, but I don't know if anybody saw it. Okay, so
hello, everybody. Good afternoon.
Luis.
Welcome, everybody.
How are you? Welcome.
Ciao. Oh, sorry. Steven Borak. I needed to click there.
Good. Okay, I think we should begin.
No, hold on, I'm not in.
Oh. Sorry, Francesca.
But could you send once again the link? Because now, of course,
Which link?
The link of the event via the email.
By email to you?
See, to me.
Okay.
I see the confirmations, but I don't see the link.
Have you had an invitation to the booth?
See, because I have.
So you're in a booth now?
No, I'm not in a booth.
What?
We should try now per computer. So please send me the
link. The link is in the chat.
See, but now I cannot from the chat to the link.
Oh.
Est-ce que vous m'entendez? Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui m'entend? Oui. Est-ce qu'il va y avoir la traduction en langue française?
Oui, bien sûr.
I'll give a technical announcement now.
OK, c'est Richard Perrault de l'ONG Droit Énergie SOS Futur.
Non, il y aura en espagnol, en français, en portugais.
Francesca, let's talk on the WhatsApp group, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
En bas de l'écran, tu trouveras la map monde et tu cliques sur ton langue, sur ta langue.
Okay. I would like to welcome everybody here this afternoon to the 4th Virtual World Assembly of Inhabitants. Just a few housekeeping messages. We have interpretation today into English, French,
Por ahora en español.
Portuguese,
En français, en portugais,
and Spanish and Italian.
Et en espagnol et italien aussi, pardon.
If you look down at the bottom of your screen, you will see
En bas
the
de
interpretation
l'écran, vous
options.
avez les options d'interprétation.
We have to sort out the interpretation.
Voilà, il y a un petit globe en bas de l'écran.
The English-French interpretation is coming through the English channel at the moment.
Para grabar.
If we can sort out our
Donc,
channels,
voilà,
please, interpreters.
Là, je suis sur...
Autorización para grabar en español.
Mike, may you authorize Ernesto?
Oui, je vous entends très, très bien. Merci beaucoup.
Okay. We are getting
to record the meeting in Spanish. Thanks.
We are getting interpretation through the wrong channels. If the interpreters can check they are on the right channel, please. Okay, just some housekeeping rules, please.
Sí.
All these speakers today.
Acá desde México escuchando español correctamente.
No, the Spanish is coming through on the open channel. Testing 1, 2, 3. If people can test that they can hear on their channel and give a thumbs up.
Le doigt pour savoir si ça va ou pas.
Okay, we will sort out the interpretation in the next 5 or 10 minutes. So, good afternoon, everybody. Just some housekeeping rules. Please make sure you use a headset. This is to make sure that your message can be delivered properly in several languages. Do not try and cram in too much into your allotted time, but speak clearly and slowly to allow the interpreters to do their job and for us to understand your message. You can always add links to further documents and information in the chat. We ask you all to allow to add to the chat, and we will be taking information and putting it into polls and questionnaires. Please observe time. It's going to be a problem to get through in 3 hours. But we can do it with everybody's cooperation. With that, thank you very much. I will interrupt if people are not clear when they're talking, and I'm afraid I may mute people if they are not clear enough. Thanks very much. Over to Cesare to make some welcome remarks. Cesare.
Buenos días. Espera che hai acá.
Mi sentite?
Sì, ottimo.
Ancora non riesco ad avviare la registrazione, Cesare. Non ho avuto il permesso.
Il bottone. Mike,
sì, non ho avuto il permesso.
Permission to record.
Yes, to Ninni Cirincione.
James.
Okay. Are there any other people asking for record the meeting?
Mike, read the chat.
Okay.
Yo solicito autorización para grabar en español, por favor.
I am requesting authorization to record in Spanish, please.
Okay.
No people in French.
Where? Sorry, you've got me. I don't know where to do that.
Sylvie, ciao, ça va? Si tu veux enregistrer la session en français, il faudrait que toi tu écoutes en français et tu cliques le bouton.
If you want to record the session,
je parle français aussi, but I can.
I can.
Rendre fruible aux autres personnes. Sinon, tu peux voir en ligne, en streaming, seulement la langue de la personne qui parle. C'est pour ça. Donc, on va enregistrer.
Le faire.
So the question is to
Si tu veux, David.
Ah, parfait. OK, alors tu cliques le bouton enregistrer et tu demandes l'autorisation.
Donc, il faut push the button to record the session.
En portugués.
Tranquilo.
Ah, perfecto. Pero tú tienes que pulsar el botón.
Já está.
Hecho? Feito, perfecto.
Sim.
Mike.
Bonjour, Barteria.
Hello.
Bonjour, boa tarde.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon.
Mike.
Sí.
Ok, Ernesto, Bartiria, David, and Claire, I think, and Nini.
Cesare ancora non è partito la registrazione.
No?
No.
Ma hai schiacciato il pulsante?
Sì, io schiaccio il pulsante e mi dice che devo chiedere ancora, devo ottenere ancora l'autorizzazione. Quindi evidentemente l'autorizzazione non c'è.
Adesso lo chiedo. Mike?
Sì.
It seems that the people are not authorized.
Not authorized, okay.
No, David said no. James Hodder means the Italian people said no.
I don't, okay. David, who else?
David, Ernesto Paez.
Ok, c'est bon pour moi.
Ok, parfait.
Ernesto, sí, para grabar en español, por favor.
Yes, I need authorization. I'm Ernesto. I need to record the Spanish.
Okay, done.
E ancora no.
Clicca ancora, vediamo se lo vede.
No, mi risponde, mi dà sempre lo stesso messaggio. Please ask the host to give you permission to record.
Mike?
Sì.
You received from James Hodder.
James Hodder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Authorized. Okay.
Authorized.
And Bartiria, I think. Bartiria?
Bartiria.
Ok,
Recibió.
ora sì.
Ok.
Ora sì.
Bartiria recibió la autorización.
Estou tranquilo, estou ouvindo bem.
¿Todo bien?
It should be all right now for Bartiria.
Ok, parfait. Ok, on commence alors. Il faut muter toutes les personnes.
Do you manage to put me in the booth?
Okay,
You're
one
going
second,
to
Francesca.
mute everyone.
Yeah.
Mike?
Yes.
Can I begin?
You can begin, yeah.
Ok, perfecto. Entonces, buenos días. Soy Cesare Ottolini, voy a hablar.
Good morning, I'm Cesare Ottolini. I will be speaking in Spanish. I am the global coordinator of the International Alliance of Inhabitants. This is the fourth session of the Virtual World Assembly of Inhabitants. Last year, we launched the Zero Eviction campaign on account of COVID, and we connected hundreds of activities, different achievements in different countries throughout the world and in every continent. This has been very important to make the problem visible, and also to deal with re-existences. What is this? The inhabitants' capacity to resist to the effects.
Mike?
Yes.
French? It's okay. Okay.
Please continue.
And please, it seems that Ernesto cannot register, cannot record.
Well, he's allowed to. Okay.
Ernesto Paez. Okay.
Okay.
And then please mute all the people.
Yeah.
Thanks. So, ha sido un año muy difícil.
It has been a very difficult year. However, we have managed to work with the crisis and with the solidarity responses of organizers. When we need to resist to evictions, there is not much solidarity. When people want to fight hunger, then there is solidarity. Or when we have to fight for the right to health, we can't wait. We need to look after each other. However, this hasn't been enough.
Asamblea histórica siempre. No 31 de agosto.
Depois tivemos um em 31 de agosto, deu visibilidade.
Y en octubre las jornadas mundiales cero desalojos. Cada año hacemos como Alianza Internacional de Habitantes.
Activities towards zero eviction. Therefore, there have been stronger activities in other places in the world. In these activities, we have actually seen some results. For instance, in different countries, in several continents, popular organizations have managed to stop evictions and also to stop eviction moratorium. In this way, people have been able to breathe, and they have been able to say, sorry, there's some background music.
We have some background interference. Please.
I think it's fixed now.
Okay, thank you. Please continue.
Il n'y a aucune traduction qui se fait, hein, mes amis.
En français, non.
Puis en anglais non plus, je viens de voir apparaître qu'en anglais, il n'y en avait pas.
Bon,
yo estoy grabando en español.
Sí, pero... Mike, may you mute all the people? All, please. All. Okay. Si no va a ser imposible.
Continue. Are you still getting noise?
Thanks.
No,
Okay.
we're fine now.
Bueno. Okay. Continue.
So after the World Zero Eviction activities, we have made this problem possible. For instance, in Italy last year, there have practically been no evictions. In France, in Portugal, in Spain, in the United States, and several countries. We are now at a crossroads. This is a major, very important moment, because on the one hand, inhabitants still have problems because they are out of job. Tenants want to push for evictions, owners, and no rescue policies are being fostered or social housing policies. So there is a very strong risk of the old reality being implemented again. We need this new reality, so we need alternative policies that are not functional to neoliberalism, but to human rights, the environment, so that resources and wealth can be fairly distributed. What is happening now is that the wealthy are becoming wealthier and the poor poorer. There is a new geopolitical organization. There are new conflicts now in different parts of the world. The pandemic is not the cause, actually. The pandemic has disclosed the situation. What we can do from my small neighborhood, area, city, we can resist, as in pleased, we are in our dwelling, and we can also claim for alternative policies to see how this can be made easier. We have found a path, and we are now trying to walk along that path slowly. The idea is to work as a community. This is a forum where the different organizations, popular organizations, can actually exchange, as we're doing now, exchange ideas and see how we can implement a strategy and put together a mobilization and alliance schedule. So first of all, objectives. We resist within our house. They should be safe, healthy. They shouldn't be too expensive, so we should resist. So we should request for lower rents, lower mortgages, etc. But it's possible. There is quite a lot of circulating money. And also to exist again, we need to bring together our families, communities with alternative policies. We've already said this. We need to strengthen this forum. So we need to see in this meeting how we can forge alliances. For instance, there are progressive authorities, for instance, in Barcelona, or progressive governments, for instance, in Venezuela, and they have provided some answers. Also, alliances with, for instance, worker unions, public services as well, water, housing, etc. They are fighting. Well, we should fight together, because that is our strategic objective, to re-exist. Why do we have a schedule? The idea is to share different mobilization proposals we have as an international alliance of inhabitants. We should also have this on a screen, but actually every day see how we can mobilize together. This is what we call the Solidarity Agenda of Inhabitants for 2021. This assembly has that aim, to strengthen the exchange of ideas and within this assembly, the idea is to also choose a methodology. There have been 3 confirmed interventions. Number 1, a Marxist and economic professor from the States, Richard Wolff, and he will be explaining a critical perspective, but he will be very practical as well. Let's see if Richard Wolff is ready from New York, the United States. The second panelist is Raquel, a current professor. She has been the UN rapporteur on the right to housing. She lives in Brazil, and she will also have the chance to present what they are doing in Brazil as well. At the end of the section, we will have Faeza Meyer, who's an activist on the right of housing, on the right to water as well. She lives in South Africa, and it's very important to understand what happens in this continent as well. After this first round, we will have 5 minutes, a 5-minute pause. We will try and play a video, some music, so we can breathe. After that, there will be a report presented from Asia by the Indian coordinator of the alliance, Mike Davis will be talking as African coordinator. From Europe, Eddie Jacquemac, the national president of the National Council Confederation and Tenant Association. And I don't know his or her name yet, but I think we will have Bartiria Lima da Costa from the CONAM to talk about the coordination of the Alliance in Latin America. And at the end, Robinson, the coordinator of the International Alliance of Inhabitants for the United States and North America. After this report presentation, we will have at least 3 interventions from international networks, from the Global Platform for the Right to a City. This is a network of networks. We are talking about hundreds of organizations that are involved in this struggle, and they are supporting this struggle as well. Also, a colleague from the Habitat International Coalition. Let's see who will be speaking on behalf of Habitat International Coalition. Then we'll have a 5-minute pause with some music. We will go get some coffee or something. And then all of you will be able to speak. We will try to begin at 4:40 so that everyone has at least or more or less 3 minutes, specifically 3 minutes, so that we can reach the end of the meeting with the proposals for the Solidarity Agenda. We do have a model. We'll be sharing it later on. We will be including it with your interventions. We have a draft, but we will be sharing it later. There will be different moments to have a debate. So probably 15 to 20 colleagues will be able to participate. And at the end, we will see the Solidarity Agenda. We will agree, hopefully, and we'll be taking a picture as usual. Thank you to the interpreters. There are many of them. We'll be calling their names: Silvana Silva, Adriana Viera, Paula Fortunato, Lourdes Martino, Luisa Salzano, Luisa Martins Consta, David Axon Jr., Teresa Rai, Francesco Bruno, Claudia Covizier. I think there are more, but maybe Mike can post their names as well. For the session to be clear, also in other languages, we have asked our colleagues to record the session in different languages. Finally, we need to remember that this involves many people. We're talking about 6,000 people who have watched the videos and over 850 colleagues from different organizations from 66 countries from every continent that have actively participated and that participate in the struggle. So let's see how we can consolidate this coordination. I've spoken a lot already. Let's hope that the first participant panelist is ready. Mike, we have Richard Wolff connected already. Richard, thank you for being here. Thank you for your participation. We already met you at a New York meeting at a meeting against evictions.
Okay, can I make my presentation now?
Certainly, please go ahead, Prof.
Oui.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your important meetings. I salute all the work that you are doing. And probably for the first time in my adult life, I am able to say that more than ever before, the movement of the sort you represent is also growing fast inside the United States. I was born here, I've lived here all my life. Here are two things for you to think about. Number one, this is the worst condition of the American capitalist system in my lifetime. And number two, this is the strongest social critical movement inside the United States than I have ever seen in my lifetime. So it is a special circumstance that brings me to you. Because I know that we don't have much time, I am going to get to the core of what I have to offer. In my view, one of the great lessons we have learned in the last century is that the effort to go beyond capitalism cannot be focused on replacing private capitalists with government officials. There are good reasons to do that. Government is needed. Government can offset a number of the problems presented by a private capitalism. But it is no solution to the problems of capitalism. What I mean by that is that for me, the core of the capitalist system, the issue we have to confront, is the organization of production. Whether it's a factory or an office or a store, the workplace, the enterprise is organized under capitalism in a way that is the most fundamental obstacle to solving our problems. By that, I mean the division of the workplace into the employer versus the employee. That organization of virtually all enterprises, private and public, replicates the division into a dominant minority and a subordinate majority, a relationship that we can see in slavery, master-slave,
entre le maître et l'esclave,
de feudalismo para os lordes,
empleador, empleado. Si no se enfrenta a ese tema, entonces todos los demás esfuerzos para que logremos la democracia, libertad, igualdad y fraternidad se verán impedidos como
noi saremo frustrati come lo siamo stati in passato.
Or communism, or any other word that may come to be used. The bottom line issue is, will we lead a movement that transforms the workplace or not? My view is that that is the way forward for us. That what has to happen now, and we have to be daring and courageous enough to say we are the movement that is going to transform every workplace by bringing a genuine democracy into the workplace, inside the factory, inside the office, inside the store. One person, one vote. That democracy should never have been limited to the political side of life. It belongs in the economic side, and if it is not there, then the political side will deteriorate into the forms of democracy, but no genuine content. Here in the United States, let me conclude by telling you that here in the United States, we have a situation that is in many ways the worst in the world right now. We have a collapsed capitalism. The levels of unemployment and dysfunction have no parallel in this country other than the Great Depression of the 1930s. But even in the Great Depression, we did not have a public health disaster. What we have now is the combination of the worst possible failure to deal with COVID-19 at the same time as we have the second worst collapse in the history of capitalism. This is more than this system can handle, and the system is falling apart. It is crucial for you to understand that the United States cannot play the role in the world that we all became used to after World War II. That is over. And this is therefore a crucial moment for the kinds of activities you are engaged in, more so than I can get across to you in 10 minutes. But I think that the core issue, again, we must be the movement to transform the workplace as a central part of what a new and different future means. We will win this battle if we understand the historical moment we are in. Thank you very much. I wish I could stay with you, but there is a real movement in the United States, and I am a part of it, and it is something I never expected to see in my lifetime, and it is all better than anything I can get across to you in this short time. Thank you very much.
Grazie, grazie Richard per questa analisi del profondo che è andata.
Thank you, Richard, for this analysis that gets right at the heart of the problem. And so we keep on fighting, but also we have to resist within our homes, our cities. We have to fight to take the right exit exactly in this historic moment in which we find ourselves. So maybe we can have another meeting in the future, maybe more just with the United States, with United States. If you can stay and hear us, it's great. Otherwise, we know that you are very busy.
So if we work out a schedule, it will be my honor to work with you in the weeks and months ahead. Absolutely.
Ok, perfetto. Molte grazie. Grazie
Thank
ancora.
you very much. Thanks again.
Non trovo più chi è. Chi è pronto tra quelli che erano
Who
pronti?
is the next among those who were scheduled to speak? Raquel? Rolnik? We cannot see her right now.
Waiting room?
No, the waiting room is closed. She's not here. Perhaps Faeza.
Faeza, sì, cominciamo con Faeza, sì, facciamo con Faeza. Faeza, una breve presentazione, è un'attivista per il diritto alla casa e per la giustizia.
She is an activist for housing. She comes from South Africa. She's really an incredible woman. I'll give the floor to her. Thank you, Faeza, for your participation.
Thank you so much, comrades. Thank you for the opportunity for having me here. I think I want to start. I know I ran out of time the last time, so I want to be very to the point. So I think I want to start by saying that South Africa has a housing crisis, and I think that's evident. At the moment, in the city of Cape Town alone, we have a backlog of 600,000. And those living in the 600,000, or those 600,000 people who is on the backlog waiting for housing, are living in appalling conditions. In 2014, the Minister of Human Settlement, Lindiwe Sisulu, said that there will be no more free housing. At the end of 2019, they will cut all of that, and that all those under the age of 40 no longer qualifies for housing. They justify that by saying that the RDP houses that was built so far has been built to rectify the mistakes of apartheid, and that all those under the age of 40 has not been affected by apartheid. Of course, we beg to differ just by looking at the conditions we are living in today. So all of those people living in these bad housing conditions live in backyards, they live in informal settlements, they live in rental stock, they live in temporary relocation areas. And then there are those who have considered themselves lucky who had received RDP houses. RDP houses is social housing. We have highlighted the RDP scandal, however. The government has gotten many awards for building in record time so many RDP houses. I think it's more than 3 million. However, they had forgotten to tell the world that more than half of these houses are falling apart. It's very tiny. It's extremely badly built in terms of the materials that they use, where it's built, the type of land that it was built on. In 2013, the Minister of Human Settlement, Toki Seswale, he actually looked at the damage of the RDP project, what has happened over the many years. And he came to the conclusion that the damage that was made for it to be fixed, it's going to cost 64.4 billion. And when Minister Lindiwe Sisulu took office, she said, no way, it's not a chance that we are going to spend money on fixing those houses. These houses, these housing conditions, from the backyarders up to informal settlements to these tinily built RDP houses, are incredibly overcrowded. It's impossible for people to practice social distancing. Also, there's no little access to water. Government is very busy privatizing our water at the moment, introducing meters, water management devices that gives people very little water. Also, there is a large group of people in South Africa at the moment, I think 11 million, that is unemployed, which makes the strain even worse on poor people. But there's all these contradictions, you know, what they expect of us during this pandemic. They expect us to wash our hands. They expect us to do all of these things when it's impossible. It's impossible to practice social distancing. It's impossible to wash your hands if you don't have water or sanitation. You know, our condition clearly makes it difficult for us to adhere to the regulations. People have to go out to survive. There's no other way. Then we face the repression of the state. People are given fines. left and right for not wearing masks without even questioning whether they have masks. You know, there's many people while doing our work in the community, we find out that they don't even own a mask. People in large households are sharing masks with each other. Evictions are still taking place even during this pandemic. The city doesn't care. In the beginning of this pandemic, the city created a space on a sports type of field where they gathered all the homeless people in the city and they put them there. And hundreds of people were put in a tent where there was no proper toilet for them. There was not enough water. People were complaining they didn't get enough food. It was a concentration camp type of situation, and the homeless were afraid. They were worried because people were getting infected and the city was clearly not looking after them. And then it didn't take too long for the city to just let people go back into the city again on their own. We think it was all just a stunt to show the world that they care. You know, the DA government is a supposed caring government, but they honestly don't care. So the other, you know, there's so many second houses and so many holiday houses and third houses and fourth houses. People have so many homes that's just standing here, it's empty, and no one is using it. And so we say if just half, you know, if we can fill those houses that's standing empty, that's of no use, that's holiday houses for foreigners, etc., that can fill half of the backlog, and people don't have to live in these kind of conditions. The government doesn't want to build houses for the poor. There's all kinds of complaints, but during the World Cup in 2010, the houses, the stadium was built in record time and with the best material ever. During the pandemic, the question of land once again emerged for the purpose of growing food. Soup kitchens were driven to schools to access pieces of land so they can be able to grow. Government is now using the pandemic to introduce further austerity and to implement the neoliberal policies by offering service sites and upgrades instead of decent housing for all. People are resisting and organizing on the ground as best as they can in this period. Provinces are discussing a campaign, and we say tax the rich for housing for the poor. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Faeza. Excellent. And more strength to your struggles. Cesare?
Thanks, really inspiring in the strength you're feeling. Desafortunadamente, Raquel no está contestando. No sé qué pasa. Esperamos que todo sea bien. Entonces, a ver, si no hay más intervenciones.
So unfortunately, Raquel is not here. Let's see if there are more interventions. Maybe we can speak, we can start. Just give me a minute, please.
¿Ha llegado? Bueno, no ha llegado. Entonces, si podemos anticipar, propongo esta cosa. Si no llega ahora Raquel.
Okay, I suggest the following. If we don't get Raquel, we should have the report by Varghese, Laika, Edi, Giacomo, or Cristina Reinalza from the different continents. In that order, Varghese, because they're in Asia and it's really late there. Varghese.
Varghese.
I can't see him.
He's not there. He's not.
No, he must have dropped out.
So, Si no hay Varghese, empezamos con otro. Desde América Latina.
Okay, from Latin America.
Cristina Reynolds is going to represent Latin America then.
Cristina, you have the floor.
Buenos días a todas y a todos.
Good morning, everyone. Please introduce yourself, Cristina.
Soy Cristina Reynal.
I am Cristina Reynals from Antena Sur, from the International Alliance of Inhabitants. I will be trying and turn on the video. Yes, I think it's working. I belong to the FEDEVI organization from Argentina. During the pandemic, we have been participating in a great effort to come together as many Latin American countries as possible to address the issue of the struggles led by women, also childhoods and dissidences. We organized 2 regional meetings. Let's see if I can share the screen.
No. Bueno, sigo, mientras tanto intento, porque tengo problemas de red.
Okay, I'll try. I'm having some network issues. We organized 2 regional meetings, one on the 30th of October, 2020, where we had presenters from Argentina, Peru, Mexico, Brazil, Venezuela. We talked about the status, the current situation within the pandemic, and several conclusions were made regarding demands for governments so that they would create public policy aiming to improve health, education, the right to housing, and mainly we focused on evictions and also on the need to cancel evictions through the duration of the pandemic. However, it was necessary to have a second meeting conducted within the World Social Forum on the 27th of January, where we once again had the same countries and new countries participated as well. In the meantime, just before the second meeting, in the case of Argentina, a major social leader passed away in Argentina. He was a FEDEVI representative, and he gave his life to our cause. Therefore, from Argentina, we are now in this assembly celebrating him. He attended the first and second forum in Brazil, and his participation, he participated uninterruptedly in Latin American countries and in the world. So we are honoring Jose Acuña, always present in our hearts. and let us follow in his footsteps. So we started the second regional meeting with this loss, and we found a different type of demand that has to do with food and also Peru's demand that the national government should develop public policies to deal with the food issue in that country. Also, in the case of Argentina, we are fighting against the eviction of tenants, both formal and informally. Venezuela presents the effort made by the national government to fight against COVID-19 by helping other countries. Regarding Brazil, Brazil is fighting permanently against his governmental system and against the right to housing. And now we are showing our solidarity regionally with them.
No interpret to French.
Not into French. Okay, sorry. Continúo. También en el caso de Costa Rica se ha
Also
sumado
in the case of Costa Rica,
a unirse a nuestra lucha ofreciendo los medios masivos revolucionarios que han puesto a disposición
colocaram à disposição da aliança
del grupo. Entonces, invitamos a todos y a todas a unirse a esta lucha de reexistencia que está en contra, como dijera la profesora Lucía Morares, en contra del crecimiento de la violencia de género, de los femicidios que se han acrecentado durante el tiempo de pandemia y de la violencia contra las infancias que también se han acrecentado durante esta época de pandemia. Consideramos que la agenda solidaria de la Alianza Internacional de Habitantes ha comenzado para nosotras y el encuentro regional este 21 de enero y queremos continuar con esta lucha y con la unión de las mujeres que son las que en este momento están
women who currently are sustaining this fight with the objective to decrease the advances in this sector. So thank you to all my sisters that have participated in this regional meeting. Thank you to the Alliance, and thank you to the World Social Forum that, as the previous speaker said, us of us who are a bit older never thought that we would meet again 20 years after the World Social Forum, actually claiming that another world is possible amidst a pandemic. Thank you.
Gracias,
Cesare,
Cristina.
un
Gracias,
momento.
Cristina, para... Sí, pero...
Cesare?
Sí?
Tem companheiro...
Cesare, we have a companion that he is from the energy rights from that association of rights, energy rights. I don't know what's happening that he's not able to hear.
Yeah, we have a friend. I
So
don't know
he
what's
left
happening.
the
He cannot
meeting.
hear. He's trying to leave the meeting.
Unfortunately, there is no interpretation from the Spanish into French. Maybe they could listen to the English booth or the Portuguese booth.
Thank you, Cristina. I remember our colleague Jose, and he is in our hearts. And we would really like to honor his work. He's not the first one we're losing. It's been a terrible year. So let's go on. His memory remains with us. Coherence, solidarity, he helped us all. We're trying to find Raquel. Maybe there is another colleague. I suggest that we should have Mike now. Or Rob from the States. Is he there?
I'm here. Me or Mike? Which one?
Up to you, Rob.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Mike Davis from Harare, Zimbabwe, and I am the coordinator for Anglophone Africa in the Alliance of Inhabitants. Sorry, I'm getting some interference here. Okay. I am responsible for organizing the African Assemblies of Inhabitants. The last one we had was in October of 2020, and it was attended by approximately 80 activists from around the continent. We had 23 countries participating, and basically in that meeting, we committed to repeating the process so that we could develop our solidarity networks within Africa during 2021. Obviously, we have the same challenges as the rest of the world, given the COVID pandemic and lockdowns. But in addition, in Africa, we have practical problems which affect our networking. People cannot afford data here. The data to attend a meeting such as this will cost people roughly $5 to $8 for the 1 to 2 gigs they need to participate properly. This is a huge challenge in a continent where people often earn $1 or $2 a day. So we are developing a system where people in the north, in the global north, will be able to provide direct data subsidies to people in the south. So you will be able to send $5 data to a comrade in the south to enable them to participate. The scheme is in the process of development. It's arising out of our work in the African Assembly, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we will have a practical system that will allow for real solidarity between activists across the world. So that's one development that has happened. Unfortunately, given our local situations and struggles in Africa, it is very difficult and challenging to build a continental network. But we're starting. We have fantastic people like Faeza in Cape Town, Kipchumba in Kenya, Humphrey, and other people who are slowly, as our time and capacity allows us, building a solid network. I encourage all activists outside of Africa to build personal links with activists to see how you can support, encourage, and assist us in our local struggles. This is apart from the organizational solidarity which we are forging in this assembly. I'm very pleased to have international networks here because it's important that we coordinate our activities and support for local struggles. The next developments in the African process will be a tribunal on evictions in Kenya. These are evictions that are resulting from development for the Afri-Cities conference in November. So we are mobilizing to create a front to highlight and oppose those evictions. There will also be a tribunal on evictions of the people of the Sengwe lands at some point to be announced. So in Africa, we will move slowly ahead. We're grateful for all support from our international comrades. Thank you. Amandla. Away too. Thank you, Cesare. Cesare,
just arrived. Just arrived. Raquel Rolnik is there. Ahora es el turno de la compañera Raquel Rolnik, actualmente es profesora a...
Now we have Raquel Rolnik. She's a professor in Brazil. She's a former rapporteur, UN rapporteur on the right of housing.
Por favor, perdóname que ya tendría que estar.
I'm here. I'm sorry that I should have been connected for some time now, but my internet just isn't working properly. I'm very happy to be here and to share with you. No.
Português. Bom, vou falar em português.
I'm going to speak in Portuguese then.
From Portuguese, English, etc., or from English or from Spanish. Mike. Mike está encargado de la coordinación.
Não.
No está.
Português. Ok. Vou falar em português porque esse foi.
Okay, so I'll speak in Portuguese as this was what we have agreed upon. I want to greet everyone, my companions that are involved in the fight for cities for all, for the access to housing, and we understand that we are experiencing inside a global context a very serious crisis. In a global crisis in the access to the cities, a phenomenon that appears very clearly in the northern cities, in the cities of the center of the capitalism, but also in the outskirts of the cities of the capitalism, on the cities of Latin America. And I'm going to then talk specifically about this from Latin America perspective, absolutely inserted in a global process where the land has been transformed in a financial asset that serves to an extractivist politics and for generating income which is much more important and much more relevant than the access to the land, the access to housing, and the access to the city for the protection and preservation of life and for the development, the human development of people. This situation that the pandemic has highlighted and that brought for the global agenda. It has not created this situation, but it brought and highlighted to the global agenda a situation that became very clear to everyone, where the conditions, for example, to be able to practice a social isolation, the conditions to be able to protect by simply washing the hands, that it was absolutely clear that these conditions are limited to a few and not conditions that the majority can follow. And also in this sense, all the economic impact of the pandemic affected in a particular way, in a very acute way, those that pay rents and that depend of payments of salaries to be able to have a house. And from that on, I'm going to highlight that. And those are people that self-produce their own housing, their own habitat in occupations, in movements, in urban or rural movements that see themselves threatened. Besides the pandemics, even beside the guidelines of stay home, they are still threatened of losing their houses through eviction actions and through reintegration of land actions, legal actions. And unfortunately, within this Latin America context, there were many few countries that adopted eviction suspension process and that adopted policies to support the rental, although despite of this movements throughout the planets that we are advancing. I can see several companions here present and totally involved in this zero eviction campaign, which means in this moment, the affirmation of the right of the city, the affirmation of the right to housing, which absolutely is a permanent demand. But in this moment of the pandemic is a more urgent demand, because it means also the possibility of the right to life, the protection to life. An idea of the zero eviction campaign, international campaign, that starting from Brazil and from the organizations that and social movements that take part of this, that fight for housing throughout the country, have articulated themselves and launched this idea that at the same time is an idea, a solidarity idea, an international action, exactly the idea that's behind the alliance, international alliance, the existence of the alliance throughout its history. It's also today represented by the possibility to create a new platform, an international platform, a global platform for this fight, for this struggle, and to stay, for a campaign to stay where you live, to not be evicted from their houses. It means at this moment to restate that the land and the constructed space must be served to protect life and not for the desires of income of the financial capital invested. This seems to me a platform that dialogues not only with those self-produced land ascentments and the sceneries, landscapes of Latin America and also African countries and Asian countries, but it also generates a fight in the time of capitalism. Whereas this process of outsourcing of housing and submission of housing politics and urban politics of this obeys this logic of this financial logic. This is a global process. I believe that despite this poverty and of this inequality that has been worsened, that we're living this moment, and the pandemic as well as opened the space for some countries to adopt temporary suspension of evictions, while other countries adopted some politics to support rents. Some countries could adopt intervention of policies in the rent scenario to freeze these rents. These actions should stop being only in emergency actions, but that is what I want to propose and to present for everyone in this table, in this round, that believing in this moment.
For sense to be produced, there must be an association between a non-verbal idea and a word or a gesture. Anyway,
hemos desaparecido. Espera un segundo. Ay, ay, ay.
Stepping stones.
Perdido.
God.
Entonces, gracias Raquel para el impulso, la fuerza. Lo sabemos que ya históricamente está desde el lado del pueblo. Entonces, tu participación y tu fuerza, sabiduría y arraigamiento también. La campaña Zero Despecho en Brasil es muy fuerte. Entonces, es un impulso para que logramos extender esta gran plataforma para lograr reexistir. Esa es la primera etapa, luego seguimos. Gracias. ¿Se puede quedar todavía un poco? Sí. Muy bien. Bien. Entonces, vamos adelante. ¿Quién es el próximo? Porque estaba prevista una pausa. Pero si está listo, no he visto Rob Robinson de Estados Unidos. No lo veo.
I am here.
Ah, perfect. So, Rob, may you intervene? May you
certainly
speak? Make your
good
remarks.
Morning, good afternoon to everybody. And it is truly an honor for me to follow Raquel Rolnik. She came here in 2009 on a very special mission that is still talked about. As a matter of fact, a documentary was created behind her visit in 2009 called More Than a Roof that was just recently screened, and I did a talk behind it because it was just such a valuable visit by Raquel during that time. So I want to thank the International Alliance of Inhabitants, the World Social Forum, and everybody for allowing me to speak at this virtual Assembly of Inhabitants. Pardon me, I just have something in my eye that is just tearing up one of my eyes. This is, you constantly hear me speak on behalf of the United States and North America because we struggle with internationalism in this country. But I think it's important for us to connect, just as Raquel said, with the international community and continue to struggle, because housing is something that everybody deserves, affordable housing, decent housing, dignified housing. So Professor Wolff gave you a broad overview of what is happening in the US. I'm going to bring it down to ground level. I wanted to start off my talk around the political situation, but I think you're all aware, you've all seen the photos, the pictures, the insurrection, as it's called, as some right-wing folks tried to take down our Capitol. But we now have a changeover in federal administration and things are changing rapidly. And it is great to see this happening. So let me just give you some statistics on North America with respect to the pandemic, and then I'll talk about the struggles on the ground. So in Canada, they have a total of about 750,000 cases.
Équité en général, nous avons un total de 750 000 cas de COVID et aux États-Unis, c'est 25 millions de cas et plus de 400 000 décès. Comme l'a dit le professeur Wolff, nous avons eu beaucoup de difficultés à traiter d'une pandémie.
Deixe-me saber sobre o
is about 8.8%.
Abbiamo circa 8,8% della disoccupazione.
Pandemic in the US, 24 million were unemployed in May. Currently, about 5 million are unemployed. At risk of eviction and homelessness, 22 22.6% of the Canadian population in the prairie areas, or what you might call rural areas, and at risk of eviction in urban areas, about 20.
Et 20,3%
urbanas, 23%.
I should say exacerbated. It was brought forward by COVID-19 because these problems already existed. I guess in the United States, there's an estimate of about 30 to 40 million people that are at risk of eviction once the pandemic is over. We have had some, I did in previous World Assemblies of Inhabitants call them eviction moratoriums, but we're shifting the language a little bit. These are temporary protections. We need permanent action, right? In New York, where we have the strongest protection, where I am, we have temporary protection till February 26th. But what does that do for the people, except bring on anxiety, waiting for that date to come and what's going to happen. So we need to move on this. Around the rest of the country, there is a federal moratorium in the US on evictions until March 31st, but it is weak and it puts a lot of onus on the people who are struggling without work. The other fight that we're fighting is to cancel rent. As Raquel just said, we know this can happen. There is capital, there is money to do this. There's plenty of money floating around. Our government needs to take action, and that's the direction that the people on the ground are pushing in. We think rent and mortgages should be canceled, and there should be debt forgiveness behind that, right? Our government has put forth many proclamations to say, we'll give you a year to pay the back rent. What does that do for the average person who hasn't worked for a year? It does nothing, right? So we're pushing for stronger protections. In places like New York, where we have a progressive government, every time they attempt to open up our courts, which are housing courts, the movement is there to resist, and we shut them down. We physically do not let the court business happen. And I think our government has finally gotten the message. So I have a short period of time left. I think going forward, we want rents canceled. We want evictions canceled. We will work with IAI, International Alliance of Inhabitants, to minimize the effect of the people directly affected by these issues. But we don't have a broad agenda. Our agenda is to put protections in place that are permanent and give the people some relief. So thank you for allowing me to share the struggles of the US and North America in general. Canada is a little bit better off than the US, but the most developed country in the world is taking quite a few missteps under the former administration. Thank you.
Gracias, Rob. Tu presentación de la problemática y del hecho que ustedes, Estados Unidos, en el corazón del capitalismo, está luchando y resistiendo con éxito, nos alienta. Es decir, estamos más contentos de tener aliados. Vamos a ver cómo consolidar no solamente el intercambio, sino coordinando actividades de movilización en este año que apenas ha sido abierto. Gracias. Y Micah, do you want to?
Yeah, just a technical intervention at this point.
Okay.
We have been going just over 1 and a bit hours. Our interpreters are tired. Many of them have other commitments. Please accept my apologies for any lack of interpretation in your chosen language. We are struggling during this week with so many events in the World Social Forum. Our interpreters are spread very thinly amongst many events. So my apologies, please bear with us. We are recording this, so people will be able to view it later and check. Thanks very much, Cesare.
Sí, tenemos que decidir si seguir como previsto en la metodología o hagamos una pausa. ¿Quién está riendo? Por favor.
No, por favor.
Mike, may you mute?
Ay, por favor.
Mike,
Señor, no
Mike,
se ría, Dios. Es que me hizo reír.
Ok. Bien. Entonces, yo veo que ha llegado también el compañero Eddy Jacquemart de Francia. Entonces, propondría esta cosa. Con su intervención terminamos las presentaciones. Decía, desde Europa, Francia. Desafortunadamente no ha llegado nadie hasta el momento desde Asia. Entonces, propondría que Eddy hablas ahora y luego vamos a hacer una pequeña pausa, ¿de acuerdo? No más que 5 minutos, ¿ok? Entonces, Eddy Jacquemart, si tu es en ligne, tu peux commencer ton intervention. Eddy Jacquemart, c'est le président national.
He's the president for the French Confederation of Habitat. Yes, good morning, everyone. You have the floor. Yes, actually, the moderator turned off my camera. If he could turn it on, please. Mike, are you there?
Sorry, the camera, you should be able to turn it on yourself.
Directement.
Oui, mais quand je le fais, vous ne pouvez pas démarrer.
Yes, but when I do that, you cannot start the video because it's the moderator who did that. I was there. Could you solve this problem for me, please? Otherwise, you won't see me.
Je suis là, je suis là.
I'm here.
Where? I can't see you.
Tu veux que je me reconnecte, peut-être que je me déconnecte et que je me reconnecte?
Oui, bien sûr, parce que sinon...
Je fais ça. Je reviens de suite.
Merci.
I'll be back in a minute. He's disconnecting and connecting.
Okay.
Un minuto di pausa. Mike.
Yes.
Okay. Is there?
What name?
Is inside. Okay,
voilà,
perfect.
Vous me voyez maintenant. Je pense.
Parfait. Oui, mais
yeah, you should be able to see me now.
Oui.
Oui, voilà.
Vas-y.
J'avais pas reçu le lien, mais c'est pas grave.
Mike, it looks like you were spotlighted. If you take yourself off spotlight, maybe that'll help.
Vas-y, tranquille.
Je peux intervenir, Cesare?
Oui, bien sûr.
Okay. Can I start, Cesare?
Intervenir, hein?
Yes,
Okay.
go on. Yes, I'm looking for my presentation.
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? Problème technique. Voilà.
There we go. Good morning, everyone. In France, we can still, up to January 31st, wish you all an excellent year. So I wish you all a very good year. So hello, everybody. Merci tout le monde. Gracias todo el mundo. If I were told a year ago that the world pandemic would stop the world and would kill thousands of people and rock the foundations of the capitalist system, I would not have believed it. However, right now, we are at a pivotal moment changing the world, and the computational logics and neoliberal conditions have led us to a void and have changed everything that we know. However, in these terrible winds, there are also people who wish us ill and want to keep on living in a competition world in which human rights, social rights, and the planet are nothing faced to money. Faced with the lack of tests and vaccination, the issue of lodging became crucial. For many people, having a house, a roof over their heads, allowed them to protect themselves from the pandemic. In Europe, many deployments took place and people mobilized to demand delays on payment of rent. We saw more radical procedures come up, such as the rent strike in Spain, with many collective bodies grouping nearly 16,000 lessees. In Bagnolet, in France, the lessees of the private sectors also started a strike, gathering around a slogan, zero income, zero rent, in Germany, to try and mitigate the circumstances of the pandemic for lessees. Conditions were initiated so that landlords could not break down the rent in case of lack of payments or delay in payments of the rent. The lessees could pay the rents up to June 30th, 2020. In Berlin was implemented or enacted a law for the framework of payment of rents that led to a decrease of rent levels for many inhabitants, while between 2011 and 2019, the rent had increased around 300%. The main capitals of Europe, with at the head Paris and Berlin, started combat against Airbnb platform. In 2020, the European Legal Court determined that the regulations in France to regulate conditions in Airbnb and other platforms was in agreement with European laws, which was a victory for lessees. And it seems that things are evolving for tenants. I raised that in the European Assembly of Inhabitants, and the European Parliament adopted a report called Access to Affordable Lodging in Europe, with a strong majority of voices pro this adoption of this report. And the European Parliament confirms through this that lodging is a major subject, a crucial one, and should be a priority for the states. To give you an idea, Europe has around 30% of households who spent over 40% of their income just to have a roof over their heads, and there are 700,000 people who have no lodgings at all, and 7 million persons who are living under the poverty threshold. This new report suggests interesting tips, such as an implementation of a pre-pause in the evictions during winter, and also states that decent and affordable lodging is a human right, a fundamental one that should be raised the law within a European framework to help as well those who are roofless and homeless. And also they raised the subject of the stopping criminalization of homelessness. In France, the states conducted several combats to help people in the pandemic. We cannot list everything here, and I will highlight the evictions. We all know that tomorrow there is a possible explosion of this situation due to financial difficulties of many families and households. In France, we have deployed this combat to extend the winter delay on the payment of rates. People were still evicted last year, at the end of last year, with this virus moving around. We keep on mobilizing people, and we want 2021 to be declared everywhere in France and elsewhere, possibly in the world, the zero eviction year. It is a matter of human dignity and humanity. As I said in January 10th, we need to talk to the political people in charge and mobilize them again with a comprehensible movement for zero eviction. And in first place, pay attention to health. We need to unite on our balconies, on the windows, on our social networks to divulge these slogans. And it is a priority in the face of this situation. This should not deviate us from our main battle, which is to make the right to lodging present in all European constitutions. We need new choices that will break away from decades of politics that favor the rich. Lodging is not something that a commodity, so to speak, like health and other rights. It is a right and a very important good. Each country should assure this as a right. When we talk about lodgings, we should state that having a roof over one's head is not enough. The inhabitants in our countries are often lodged in bad conditions, are sometimes closeted in ghettos where human conditions are terrible. The writing down of this right in the constitution is a prerequisite, but it's not enough. We should work together with this and correlate it with decent lodging. We should have fresh water, access to energy, power, sufficient space, and heating when necessary. And September last, we talked about the idea of publishing a world call to propose these lodging conditions. CNL decided to write it down, but it is still very important to us. It's time for us to start working and bring down the neoliberal policies that affect so many people, destroy our planet, and deprive people of access to lodging. We should not be fooled. Our goals, our ideals, and what we do will not be given us on a silver platter. We will have to drag them away and grab them against a capitalist system that is living through its last days. Let's bring down this system so that tomorrow we can have happier days. Our determination is immense. You can rely on CNN to fight with you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Merci, Edith. No, c'est vraiment...
Thank you very much. It is very important what you said.
So what you have said is very important regarding the different fights that have been conquered in Europe, but also your perspective. So now we're already within the Solidarity Agenda for Inhabitants. Thank you. Hopefully you can stay connected with all of us. Thank you. Maybe now we can have our colleagues from the other networks, from the International Coalition. Hi, Mike.
Hi, everybody. I would like to call upon...
break. What do you
I think we should have a break now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure everybody needs to stretch their legs, breathe, walk around for a little bit. It's now 42 minutes past the hour. I'm suggesting we reconvene at 50 minutes past, at 10 minutes to the hour. It's 10 minutes to 6, yeah? Yeah? Can we take 7 minutes?
Of 7 minutes of break, not more.
Not
okay,
more.
Thank you. Not more, please, very important. Okay.
Just breathe.
Mike, can you play some song?
Hold on.
No?
It will come. Does that come? I'm still working.
And laptop screens, using heavy-handed tactics, you affected them. They guarded, they stood still as loyalist thugs you stretched to kill. Then assaulted all the neighbours, friends and families. Just like the black and tan, she drove a family from their land. But the Irish won't lie down here in the scum, and we'll burn your... So let's don the yellow vests, proudly wear them on our chests. It's time to rise and protest here in Ireland. Tell the government and the banks we'll uprise here just like France. We'll stand up for our rights and for our families. Just like the black and tan, she drove a family from their land. But the Irish won't lie down here in the scum. And we'll burn your cars and vans and we'll fight you hand to hand. Get out of here and take your English border. People homeless on our streets while we try to make ends meet. While the Taoiseach gives himself a happy pay rise, he condemned the men at hand to protect their dear land. It's time like this that we must stand together. Just like the black and tan, she drove a family from their land. But the Irish won't lie down here in the scum. And we'll burn your cars and vans and we'll fight you hand to hand. Get out of here and take your English border. Just like the black and tan, she drove a family from the land. But the Irish won't lie down here in the scum. And we'll burn your cars and vans and we'll fight you hand to hand. Get out of here and take your English border.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 52. You know why I stacked 52 books up?
Gente hipócrita.
And we're back. Hi, everybody. I hope you managed
Viva
to
Gilberto
stretch a bit.
Gil,
Doesn't seem long
Gilberto
enough.
Gil.
Oh.
Viva Gilberto Gil e a defesa pelo SUS e pela...
Cheers for Gilberto Gil and for the defense of SUS and for the city.
¿Está bien? ¿Está todos? Hola, hola.
Sí, hola.
Yo lo que propondría ahora es que empezamos con 2 intervenciones más de speakers. O sea, hay la compañera de la Coalición Internacional del Hábitat desde África del Sur y la compañera Sofía Torres de la Plataforma Global por el Derecho a la Ciudad. Creo que es desde España. Sofía, sí.
Cesare, 1 minute, just
while solamente para acordar.
Une petite minute, Cesare, s'il vous plaît.
Será Hilary. Pero esperamos la idea que luego después...
Okay, so we're starting now with a debate, or after these interventions with a debate. And we have 2 tools. We're trying to see how they work. One is a survey, a poll to the participants. I would like to ask about maybe a new agenda. And we also have we have a draft agenda, and Mike will be telling you all about it. And when he shares the document with you, then we can make further progress, because we can see that there is quite a lot of goodwill, but we need to try to actually consolidate this goodwill or wave to change things. Let's see how many people have come back. Hopefully everyone will come back.
Hemos perdido 10 personas. Michael.
I think we are all here.
Michael, from Spanish to... Are there from Spanish to?
English. We know we have Spanish to English now.
We have Spanish English.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And before now?
No. Lords has come back to join us.
Okay. And from Spanish to English to French also, or no?
I don't think we have Spanish to French at the moment.
To Italian,
we'll have
to
Italian,
Portuguese,
English.
Okay. And from English to
Portuguese, French, Italian,
Good.
And Spanish
Perfect.
now as well, I think. So continue.
Okay, may we continue?
Oui.
Entonces, de acuerdo. Vamos a empezar otra vez. La compañera Hilary.
So once again, Hilary from the Secretariat of the International Habitat Coalition, which is a huge historical network that includes different social organizations throughout the world.
Hilary, no la vemos. Se fue.
Hillary is here. Hillary, are you able to unmute? Comrade?
Yes, I am. Yes, I'm able to unmute mine. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, that's perfect. Please continue.
Okay, thank you so much. I would like to talk on behalf of Habitat International Coalition. For a start, my name is Hilary Joe. I'm the national coordinator of the Zimbabwe People's Land Rights Movement. We are a member of Habitat International Coalition and also the Alliance for International and also the Alliance. So basically I will speak on solidarity, international solidarity. Apart from our local networks, which we work in solidarity, and also the regional and international networks, we also see gap in terms of
También vemos que hay un vacío.
La solidarietà internazionale, perché la maggior parte
solidariedade internacional nas redes de
in terms of international league of frameworks of seeking recourse, of keeping countries, governments in check according to international maybe obligations, treaties they have signed and ratified. There's a very huge gap on that aspect, as most organizations do not have capacities in the global south, and also resources to pursue international frameworks of recourse, like for instance, in Zimbabwe, we have, it's in the sub-region, we have the SADC region, we have the SADC organization, where upon not being able to get recourse in the country through the local legal systems, we then have maybe to go to petition or make reports to SADC, to the AU, and also at times even to the UN. So there is a gap in there, and then also there is a very great need to coordinate our efforts in terms of solidarity, whereby we have other international organizations, maybe for example having demonstrations at embassies for countries which are violating human and housing and land rights, which is in most cases in African countries, the governments do not respect housing. They do not take and most governments are constantly violating human land and housing rights. Internationally, beyond our borders, it will be of great.
Sorry, we have some interference. Somebody has a telephone or some music playing. Please, can you turn off or mute yourself? I can't see who it is. My apologies, Hilary. Okay, please continue.
Okay, so in terms of solidarity, there's need to shift from the usual we have, the international solidarity we have, where we on social media, on other platforms, to go into the practical aspect of it, of getting things really done. So far, from a survey we were conducting with the Habitat International Coalition, from 2005, there have been over 700,000 people. That's a minimum figure of just saying, because most of these cases go unreported, and most of these cases are undocumented because of the lack of resources for us to reach out there as institutions, as networks. It is very hard for us even to, as networks also, to go out there and capture all the data. So there is a lot of violations happening on the ground, but we are failing to capture them due to the lack of resources. We are failing to make them public, going with them beyond our borders to the regions, getting support also from outside, from countries which would have identified, or would have shared some of these violations, so that we get international attention and these problems are solved. Most governments in the global south do not respect housing and land rights. People are evicted. Currently, as we speak, people were evicted during the lockdown, despite even the government having itself said that no one is going to be evicted. We have people living outside in the open as we speak, having been infected during this pandemic and under lockdown restrictions, and under also statutory instruments which are stating that no one should be evicted, but continuously governments continuously violate even their own laws. So there is need also from the outside to have governments, to enforce governments to adhere to their obligations, which through regional and international frameworks, putting pressure on them through the UN, through the AU, through demonstrations at embassies, and other such international actions. Also, boycotting of maybe products of companies which are involved in land grabs, which are involved in violations of housing rights, which are involved even in at times we go back as to taking maybe farmers' produces at under prices. Those are some of those issues which we need to consolidate and maybe to coordinate and network on, to identify violators and also take global international fights towards seeing that these violations are put to a stop, and also making sure that our solidarity is not only theoretical, it is also in practice, and also in trying to make things done, to make things happen. So I think briefly that will be my my brief and maybe not so brief intervention on
minha breve participação, intervenção.
Great, thank you, Hilary.
¿Dónde está? Thank you, Hilary, for tu intervención. Otra vez desde África, nuestra madre África, llega una fuerza para resistir en esta lucha contra la pandemia y contra el neoliberalismo, efectivamente. Ahora tenemos un poco más de aliento desde distintos continentes. Desafortunadamente no tenemos los compañeros de Asia. Vamos a hacer una reunión específica. Probablemente es un horario demasiado tarde.
Or it's too late for them today because it's already deep into the night. So it's not easy for them to participate. I think now it's the right time to have both interventions, the one from the Global Platform for the Rights to the City. Sofía Torres, you have the floor. Sofía, are you there? Yes, I'm here. I can't really open my, activate my camera, but I don't want to waste any more time. I can't open it, but maybe Mike can manage to do this. Mike, can you activate Sophia's video?
Okay, let me try. But please continue.
Okay, perfect. So I'll start out anyway, not to take more time. So hi, everyone. I'm very glad to be here and to exchange with you. Okay, now it's good. Hi.
Bueno.
Thanks, Mike.
Perfect.
And so yeah, just I see many familiar faces, but also to introduce a bit the work of the platform, as Cesare was doing at the beginning. So the platform is a new network, let's say, that has more or less 5 years, a little bit more. And I think there are problems with translation. Okay. But as Cesare was saying, it's a network of networks. So we try to work really international solidarity with different networks.
Nous essayons de travailler avec
diferentes redes e também com movimentos sociais.
Sociales y las organizaciones de la sociedad.
E anche il mondo. We're happy to be here, celebrating 20 years of the World Social Forum, and also really believing in helping construct this solidarity agenda of inhabitants. In this sense, I'd like to salute the work of the International Alliance on the work on the campaign on the re-existence of inhabitants, really pointing out violations during the pandemic, but also the alternatives. Because I would like to refer a bit on what was being said by others, specifically by Raquel, the importance on really defending and trying to get some of these measures that are temporary measures, as Rob also pointed out, in terms to protect the right to housing and other rights in the face of the pandemic, but also advancing beyond, because these measures are not enough. We have to start with them, as Raquel was saying. It's a good strategy to show that change is possible and that stopping evictions is possible. But what we really have to strive for are other ways of looking at housing production, at defending the right to housing. In the sense, who has to lead the fight and has been leading the fight historically? Our communities, our social movements. And I think that if we see of the narrative of the stories that the Alliance was really making visible in the campaign last year, we see some of these alternatives. And also during this whole week in the World Social Forum, and this week we were able to participate as well in one of the assemblies, one of the events that I have also a friend here, David Bodinier from Grenoble, was participating on Commons and showing different alternatives to really, as is being said, show that another world is possible. And also striving to look at housing, and this has become more and more clear in the pandemic, can't be an isolated right, and we have really to tie it to other rights. So, and at the end, right to life, as Raquel was saying, so right to health, right to basic services, mobility, education, and really striving for the right to the city. And in this sense, as Hilary was saying right before, it's very important to striving to coordination and trying to have a coordinated actions and support in the international level.
Avoir une action coordonnée. Et nous voulons donc, il faut s'organiser pour donner son soutien. Et dans ce sens, à partir de ces
em termos de participação de
América Latina, y realmente tiene que ver con cómo se puede actualizar todo y cómo se puede implementar en el marco de la recuperación luego de la pandemia. Pero también otros experimentos de forma más participativa que anteriormente. Por eso tenemos que apoyar y tener la participación de más movimientos para ver cómo podemos defender un modelo diferente.
Also, function of the city, but also advancing on looking at the city as a common good. And finally, as Hilary was saying before as well, work on the international level of international institutions. So looking at that this year, we mark 5 years of the Habitat 3 conference and the New Urban Agenda, that at the end, the states have made commitments to defend the right to the city, defend the right to housing. And we look at the opportunity of this being a moment of trying to increase the pressure for these commitments to really be fulfilled. So we would also would like to go into direction as well. And just to finish, and Yolande has also mentioned this in the chat, but we're trying to work and try to engage more with special rapporteurs in order to use this international level to increase pressure on national governments, but also in the local level. And we would like to start and deepen a dialogue that the Alliance, for example, has been having for years with Rapporteur on the right to housing, but have it with other mandates as well. And in this sense, we're trying to organize some conversations with them. We had one in December, and now we're having one next week with rapporteurs on right to food, extreme poverty, environment, and violence against women. So I'll put the information in the chat again, and you can write us, and we can send you all the information, because it would be great to count with your presence as well and see how we can advance together. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Gracias, gracias, Sofía. Es importante estar.
Thank you, Sofia. It's important for you to mention all this, because the organization includes the International Alliance of Inhabitants, the International Habitat organization as well. So it's great to be on the same wavelength. This information is very interesting. The fact that there will be virtual meetings with some UN rapporteurs on the different rights. So maybe you can share with us in the chat the links so that we can have more information.
No.
Não, o som do Cesare estava um pouco baixo.
Ah, ok. Entonces seguimos el debate. La palabra ya tenemos algunos que se han anotado. Tenemos un compañero de Francia, creo, se esperó, es de una red que se llama Derecho a la Energía, Droit à l'énergie, que quiere destacar alguna cosa importante. Luego después hay el compañero Emilio Rodriguez.
And then Emilio Rodriguez from Mexico, who will be talking about the Zero Eviction campaign. There are some very serious cases he would like to talk about. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand or write it in the chat. We will have something like 30 minutes. And towards the end, in the chat, we will include the links to the agenda, okay? So number 3, Neila. So first of all, Perrault, right to energy.
Entonces, esperándolo, si puede hablar Emilio. Emilio desde México. Emilio, tienen derecho a la palabra.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Sí, vas a tener desafortunadamente
Hola, muy buenas.
Perfecto, va a activar tu video. Son 3 minutos más o menos.
So you have 3 minutes, Emilio.
Listo.
Okay. So I would like to warmly hug all the inhabitants of the world from Mexico. Thank you for this forum. I would like to mention that for Pobladores AC, we're members of the International Alliance of Inhabitants. It is clear that this pandemic is a signal, the clearest sign and symptom of a territorial conflict, which this neoliberal system has subjected us to. all the spaces, living spaces, housing spaces, recreation, health spaces, our own bodies are now being evicted, mutilated. They are being attacked. So we believe this comes as no surprise, the fact that the pandemic takes place amidst a territorial conflict worldwide. In this sense, it is important to say that the evictions we are now experiencing in our country have to do with different real estate projects. Fortunately, in this process, the eviction network from the City of Mexico has joined our efforts, and also different networks where we participate that defend sacred territories against mining and hydroelectricity companies.
Toquemos el territorio por delante, el espacio de vida por delante para salir de este embrollo en el que nos encontramos. Quisiera lanzar una iniciativa en este espacio.
I would like to share an initiative or launch it in this space. Hopefully it will be well received. It has to do with registering it in the World Social Forum. We're thinking about the importance of rethinking our collective and common spaces. In the cities, in our communities, in our villages, we believe that governmental policies have led us to a reduction of the cohabiting spaces we have in the community. So there are three moments, three instances. First, registration. Second, international event in May in order to reflect on territories from the bodies. And in November, we will have an in-person activity in Jalapa, Veracruz, Mexico, which shall run parallel to a virtual activity so that physically we can appropriate on one day or on a weekend. We can appropriate a public space to reclaim it in a city or village and to think collectively here how we need to reappropriate our spaces. So thank you. Hopefully this platform of the World Assembly of Inhabitants can actually, hopefully they can receive this initiative. We can formally invite all the networks, also the network before me in favor of the right to the city. And very briefly, we will be sending you this information about the process. And we can, of course, you can, of course, share our ideas on it. Thank you.
Gracias, Emilio. Pero tú me has dicho que tendría que denunciar un caso o no.
Thank you, Emilio. But you said you were going to report a case. I had to report the general situation and to actually thank the No Eviction Network in Mexico and celebrate this initiative as well. Okay, then I think we are on the same source. So this is also important for the Solidarity Agenda. Richard Perrault.
Oui, je t'entends.
OK, alors mon nom est Richard Perrault. Je ne suis pas français, je suis de Montréal au Québec, au Canada.
Ah, d'accord. OK.
Et je suis membre de l'association de...
Of the right to energy and access to energy.
It's
to lodging. It's an NGO that
wants to have the right to
demands right to power for everyone.
Consider the energy as
1.5 million human beings on planet Earth who have no access to energy whatsoever.
Use all the different
the
forms
debates
of
this
energy.
morning were extremely important and interesting because we have the same situation. Without lodging, without energy, there's no life on Earth.
How important this subject
our NGO
is,
was founded
because everybody is touched by it.
2012, 13, we focused a great deal on the access to energy, to power. These last few years, we have increasingly seen in the North Hemisphere accessibility, because energy is accessible, but people cannot afford it, and that they cannot pay for it to live in a decent way. That will be very interesting. Everyone here, we're talking in French and Spanish. You could come and talk to us to adhere to or to join rather our NGO and help us to make access to energy to all. So I make an appeal for all of you to join us so we can work together to access to lodging and to energy. Thank you very much. Thank you, Richard. Yes, it's different. The accent is different from the French one. It is very important, and your network. Martini talked about your network, and it's very important. There is this fight for the right to lodging, and we'll talk about the Green Deal, and it's the right moment to fight also to access for to energy.
We will probably try and have a specific meeting with you guys, okay? I'll make a note of it. All right. Thank you. Now we have Neila from Brazil, and then David Borvinha. Neila?
Boa tarde, saudar todos que estão participando do Fórum Social Mundial, da Aliança Internacional pelo Habitat. Sou Neila Gomes.
Perfeito. Apresenta-te.
Sou Neila Gomes, do Movimento Nacional Luta pela Moradia. A gente também está no Despejo Zero. Aqui,
Mouvement International Lutte pour l'Habitat.
Reforma Urbana, e estamos compondo a Aliança Internacional. Mas, assim, o que eu trago para vocês é essa ameaça, né, do neoliberalismo, do ultraneoliberalismo, né, do bonfão, de um palhaço, utilizando um palhaço, né, que é o governo Bolsonaro, para impor, né, essa agenda entreguista que atenta contra a soberania do povo brasileiro, que atenta contra a soberania da Amazônia, né? Então, a gente chama a atenção do mundo para o que está acontecendo na Amazônia. Há uma investida que instrumentaliza o governo Bolsonaro, que é ultradireita, para entregar a Amazônia para a direita ultraneoliberal. Então, eu não sei se eles estão querendo se refazer dessa crise internacional, do qual vários companheiros, da crise internacional do neoliberalismo, né? Que, graças a Deus, eu vejo que os americanos estão se insurgindo, que a gente precisa se insurgir, que esse sistema não contempla a gente, porque é um sistema genocida. Mas, assim, nós estamos sofrendo por falta de vacina no Brasil, né? O nosso povo da Amazônia, indígena, quilombolas, estão sofrendo por essa sabotagem de um genocida que é o governo Bolsonaro. Tanto o Brasil como, sobretudo, a Amazônia. Nós estamos tendo um alto índice de mortalidade. Eu acho que o Brasil é um dos piores no enfrentamento da questão da Covid. Então, esse avanço do Covid também ele atenta contra o território da esquerda, de nós todos, atenta contra, criminaliza os movimentos populares, tira o espaço do proletariado, das pessoas que não têm onde morar, que somos nós, dos movimentos de moradia, e massacra o nosso povo. Então, nós, da América Latina, estamos nos voltando, o Brasil também, nós temos tido a ajuda da Venezuela, da China. Então, a defesa da Amazônia e dos povos da Amazônia, da vida dos povos da Amazônia, deve ser considerada assim como uma razão para que o mundo se volte para cá e faça defesa, como também para destruir o fascismo que se instalou na América Latina. Destruir o fascismo da América Latina é também dar um golpe no fascismo do mundo que tenta avançar no mundo. Então, é um pouco essa minha fala. Estou falando de Manaus, sou amazônida, filha de ribeirinho e sou indigenista, né? Além de ser dessa luta pelo habitat da periferia pelo Movimento Nacional de Luta pela Moradia. Então, território para o povo da esquerda, para o povo da periferia, das grandes cidades, sobretudo. Tá bom? Obrigada, um abraço a todos. Vamos à luta, companheiros de todo mundo. Um abração.
Solidaridad, siempre. Gracias, Neila, para fuerza.
Thank you, Neila. Thank you. Yes, there's not just a clown in Brazil. There are many people who are really fighting. So now, David Boudinier.
Merci beaucoup, Cesare.
Yes, thank you very much, Cesare. I will speak in French. If it's possible, could you turn on my camera? So, hello, everyone, my friends. We've come a long way in 20 years since we are celebrated the 20th anniversary of the World Social Forum with this continuous work led forward by all these organizations to create this urban way, the Via Urbana, this coalition, this path that we all walk on together to defend the right to lodging, the right of inhabitants, the right to life. Humbly, I would like to participate and contribute to the debate, especially trying to show you the activities that were conducted throughout this year by our movement at Villeneuve in Grenoble. While during COVID, we had many security activities and initiatives to try and take care of our neighbors, and also the taking together of public spaces. We lost a great deal of space last year in our capacity to use the public spaces. So these new public spaces that we have are assets that we need to develop. We should develop all these exchanges that we have had on the net and other initiatives. We also led campaigns on the stoppage of evictions and rents in May, and we have also advocated for an agenda to the right to the city, appropriation of the public space, a fight against domestic violence and abuse, and we've also fought against all kinds of violence, especially because this is extremely important during this period of isolation. I would like to pay homage to all those who died during the COVID pandemic in our neighborhoods. Many people died, and especially they died from COVID, but also other diseases associated that could not be treated during this period. And I would like to manifest my sympathy to Berenger, for instance, who was one of the founders of urbanism in Villeneuve. For 2021, we have a very important agenda. We have to demand from governments that new plans will allow us to build more social lodgings, popular lodgings, and that violence will be directed not at the multinationals, or investments will not be directed at multinationals, but rather to investments on lodging. In Europe, there is an investment plan at the European level, and we should keep on demanding that this investment plan will allow us to build houses. And after this, if we obtain things, we risk
viennent sur des politiques d'austérité, et nous devons nous préparer à lutter contre les futures politiques d'austérité qui ne vont pas.
These policies that will come up probably in 2022 or 2023 and 2022. So I wish you a good 2021, and we're all together around these campaigns of zero eviction. Adelante, amigos, let's go forward. Thank you very much, David. It's, yes, 20 years, and we keep on fighting. And yes, at the European Union.
So we need to see what we're going to do this year. So now we have Getúlio Vargas from Brazil. You have the floor. If there are other people, please, while Getúlio speaks, please raise your hand if you would like to say something, because it's the final half an hour. We have 2 more interventions maybe, and then we'll discuss the agenda. Getúlio, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings from Brazil, from the National Confederation of Inhabitants, affiliated to the World International of Inhabitants. Greetings to our Director of International Relations, which has been representing our alliance. And I'd like to greet everyone. I see the teacher, Lúcia Moraes, and several Brazilians together in the construction of this assembly. It's a big satisfaction to be able to help. We also have been offering a lot of resistance, which is in Brazil has 3 major flagships, not just from the urban movements, but also about the vaccination for all and the continuation of the emergency fund for the poorest population. Today, Brazil is back to greater poverty, and we need to get rid of Bolsonaro. With him, there's no possibility of a social reconstruction, democratic reconstruction. And along with social movements and the campaign of Zero Eviction, we're able to create an agenda of resistance. We've been creating actions for resistance, for collective construction, and not just social movements which mobilized against evictions, but also we are connecting with universities, with workers, with a group of organizations in this resistance against evictions in Brazil. And this in the evictions during pandemic, we had to discuss how to practice social distancing without adequate housing, without essential political measures. And a while ago, Brazil was a source of hope for the countries. Especially 20 years ago, we believed that another world was possible. But nowadays, we drink from this hope, from this forum, so that we can quickly reestablish democracy in our world, in our country. So we count with our partners, and we're going to continue with a campaign for zero eviction and the struggle in connection with other social movements, especially to protect our democracy, which is in risk in Brazil. And without it, we cannot advance all the rights, for example, to make sure that the city will fulfill its social compromise obligations. For example, the program My Home, My Life, which had provided more than 4 million houses, was attacked and its name was changed, and now it has another characteristic. It's no longer a subsidy bank. Now it's a bank that facilitates credit, access to credit. But what's the point when more than 15 million people are unemployed and more than 30 million are homeless and above the poverty line? So today, the situation in Brazil is very serious. So we have been mobilizing against this along with other movements which are helping to construct an alliance in Brazil. We will keep together believing another world is possible in constructing urban life and outstop Bolsonaro.
Vamos adelante, entonces. Gracias, Getulio, para los
Thank
para
you, Getulio. Yes, we will probably, we will have the debate on the Inhabitants Solidarity Agenda for this year. Mike.
post the links to the agenda,
Yes.
the draft of the agenda.
Hi,
so that
everybody. We have the draft.
In different languages, French, English, Spanish, Italian. Oh, no. Portuguese, no. Oof. Well, next time.
I will also share it on the screen. I will post the link and share it on my screen in 1 second.
Perfect. Thanks.
So, Cesare, will you talk
in
through
Spanish?
it? Or?
Yes, yes, I can present it. Sorry, in Spanish, but Mike, may you paste in the chat the links to the different version in French, Spanish, Italian, and English, so that the people can.
Okay, I will do that now.
Okay, perfect. Entonces, este es un borrador.
So this is a draft that summarizes all the debates we've had. The idea was to summarize everything and to be practical. There is a first part. It says that the pandemic has unveiled the structural crisis of neoliberalism and the possibility of alternative policies, but also the risk of restoration of the old normalcy that has failed. The victims of the crisis are the popular classes and the impoverished countries, while the economic and social gulf within countries is deepening, redefining the geopolitical order between imperialist countries and countries subjected to new types of colonization. This is a powerful cause of conflict and push to migration. So the issue of housing and land is at the heart of the crisis, a factor of transfer of wealth towards financialization, cause of housing precarization and consumption of the environment. Inhabitants organizations have demonstrated the ability to re-exist house by house, neighborhood by neighborhood, country by country, increasingly even on a global continental level. To counter violations to the right to health, housing, and the attack on income. 2, to lay the foundation for housing and land policies based on human rights, the environment, and the redistribution of resources. In this sense, the defense of human rights defenders is essential. The time has come to consolidate these convergences by defining and implementing the Inhabitants Solidarity Agenda. For this year. Objective: to strengthen coordination and the impact of popular resistances to counteract the violation of the rights to health, city, and attack on income, and by implementing policies based on human rights and the redistribution of alternative resources. In order to attain these objectives, we have suggested a schedule, a temporary schedule of mobilizations. First of all, first date, European mobilization against evictions and housing costs and for the development of public social housing. At the end of March. Then we go to October. We'll try and find activities in the middle. October, World Zero Eviction Days. November is an important month because there are 2 activities within the movement. One is called Afri Cities. It takes place every 3 years with the local authorities in Africa. And actually, International Alliance of Inhabitants is part of this organization. This will take place in November 2021, Kisumu, Kenya. Another activity in November, Glasgow Online Inhabitants Initiative at COP26. Now the United States has re-signed the Paris Agreement, but this is not enough. At the end of 2019, between Santiago de Chile and Madrid as an alliance, we organized a session of the International Eviction Court on Climate Change. So we are trying to organize an activity. Let's see if it's going to be virtual or in person. Then in Latin America, Asia, North America, we need to see what they're going to suggest. There is also a key activity. We are proposing a session of the International Eviction Code in times of pandemic. And the date is to be decided. To try and coordinate this huge effort, we aim to consolidate our coordination. Therefore, we need to define a form of coordination at various levels that is inclusive and effective for the solidarity agenda of the inhabitants, which is a nucleus of the urban and community way. That is the space for exchanges and the use of common tools of the struggles and mobilization of popular organizations. So, as we need to take a path together, we'll hold other sessions. We could have them every 3 months. So this is why we're saying April, June, September, November. And in between the global meetings, we could have periodic meetings at continental level and probably at national level as well. Also, the idea is to have capacity building sessions. One on the Zero Evictions campaign, for instance, and on the sessions of International Tribunal on Evictions. Another one on the use of international law and defense of the right to housing. But we are open here. Finally, how we can be strong. We are the strength, but there is quite a lot more. There are other social networks or organizations that have already participated in this assembly or other assemblies. For instance, the Global Platform Right to the City, the HIC, the workers' unions, especially the PSI. And some people have suggested including other networks, for instance, anti-hunger organizations, which is a major problem, especially in different neighborhoods in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. And also a very important topic, the issue of debt. So CADTM, Jubilero Sur, etc. Another ongoing alliance already with the UN Special Rapporteurs on the right to housing, to health, against violence on women, and the situation of human rights defenders. It's important to, we will have a meeting, well, next week, sorry, there will be a meeting organized by the platform Right to the City. We should also work together with universities, local authorities, and progressive governments. The idea is to see how we can involve remaining autonomous, of course, but we need to involve progressive political forces. Well, I can see now that this needs a lot of coordination and debate, but now is the right time to see what you have to say on this and see how we can continue working from here. The floor is yours. I think you have all the links. I'm sure you have been able to read the documents in your language. Who would like to take the floor?
Mike?
Mike?
Well, just from a technical point,
okay.
People are welcome to add their comments and contribute to this document, add links, etc., so that we can flesh the document out before the next World Assembly.
Entonces, ya pueden comentar en esta
Okay, so Mike is saying you can comment. Yes, you have the floor.
De faire un événement très important, je pense, le jour de la journée internationale des droits des locataires.
When there is the International Journey of Tenants' Rights, it's the first Monday in October, and I think that we could have a point of order to create something at the universal level with different initiatives. We could, for instance, revindicate zero evictions for that day. I think that it's a good meeting, and each country could prepare the different initiatives during the year to put together all the initiatives with different subjects, zero evictions, access to affordable housing, for instance, because we are sharing the question of access to energy as well. This is very important, as well as having housing. And the third point would be insertion in the different constitutions of the right to affordable housing, and insert that in the different constitutions. I think that we could also have as a guiding point to what are we going to do during the year to synthesize all our different initiatives. These are different things that we could do. I'm thinking aloud, and of course this is something that we have to think a little better. Other comments? We have very little time now.
Olá.
Yes, hello. I want to share my happiness to be here with you, my satisfaction, all to the participants.
Tem alguma coisa aqui que complicou aqui.
The technical things here. I think this is a very important schedule, very important agenda. We are here in the space of accomplishment of the World Social Forum celebrating its 20th year, and by preparing this agenda and everything converged to our fights. And one of these agendas, one of the main aspects is that it must be included as a fight by all for the vaccination for everyone, because we don't have the access of this vaccination to everyone. And in addition to the right to habitation, to water, to health, to sanitation, the access to these basic service in the moment of the pandemic, this is essential that we have the vaccination so that we can have the assurance that we will not be contaminated by the COVID-19 and that we can continue fighting and that we continue alive, because we have to protect ourselves, we have to maintain us alive so that we continue fighting for a possible world, for a new possible world. And Raquel was saying that we have to have a global platform that can account for these fights, that can combine all these fights, but in an effective manner. We have to have these fights implemented. It's not only to fight, but we have to implement it in a realistic way in the aspect of habitation, of water, and this moment of pandemic. And also in this agenda, we must do our visits maybe in this first semester in a live or virtual visits of the evictions that are happening in Brazil it's a very serious problem. We can do this also in other countries, but in Brazil we can already start organizing an agenda, and after that the court, the eviction court. And finally, he should know also talked about the right to energy. He proposed that we adhere to that, to make an addition to that, all the organizations we can associate, we can include that in the agenda, and we can schedule a meeting with this organization that, as this is not a current discussion inside the alliance, and it's very important to have the right to energy. We know that not having the right to habitation, of sanitation, but also to energy is very urgent. So this is what I wanted to say. Thank you. Thank you, Bartiria.
Thank you, Bartiria. Thank you for proposing. Bartiria, thank you for proposing this virtual visit as well. It's great to report evictions. I think it's possible, but we need to prepare it carefully. Thank you, Bartiria. David would like to say something. You have the floor.
Thank you, Cesare. I would like to add that we have been making a lot of efforts and a lot of progress through different groups of WhatsApp and so on. And during the sessions, April, June, and September, we have to update what we know and to increase the efficacy, and all the tools must be used at the national level, international level, and so on. I think it's very important. And the second information is that I would like to add the International Festival of the Social Housing in June. It's 2021 or 2022. I think it's 2022. It's not for 2021, but we have to pay attention because all the preparatory documents will be all the documents will be prepared in 2021. This international housing is a very important conference, and also there is a cooperative for popular housing as well. Thank you. Thank you very much for your suggestions.
Anyone else who would like to comment? Mike, would you like to say something?
Thanks, Cesare. Yes, this is an interactive document where people are free to make additions and suggestions. And then we will spend the next week or two consolidating. And the intention is to create a
Então a intenção é criar
Google document, Google
documento no
Calendar,
Google
that will consolidate all of these events.
que vai então.
Is that all right?
Okay. It's all. Faltan 5 minutos.
So we have 5 minutes. If there are any other comments, please speak now. If not, we will go to the next stage.
Está bien. Próxima, hay Neila que quiere Steven Burak.
Okay, Neila and Steven.
I'm trying here to put some comments and to include this in Google Meets, but I'm not very familiar with Google meetings, but the proposal is that to put this discussion about the sanitary crisis and this issue about the evictions that is particularly happening in our territory, and there's a lack of vaccination, the lack of infrastructure in Latin America. In my view, neoliberalism wants to kill us, wants to kill the more vulnerable, the indigenous. Many senior citizens are dying here in Brazil with comorbidities. And so in my view, we need to do a defense, a campaign for the vaccination, and also approaching this humanitarian crisis in peripheral countries, and to mention fascism that is affecting African and other countries.
Okay, let's see how we can insert an activity throughout the year.
We're getting some feedback on people. If people can mute if they're not speaking, please.
As pessoas no YouTube que não falam inglês.
There was someone else, but now they've disappeared. I can't see them. Roland, maybe? Okay, we have 3 minutes. I would like to make some operational arrangements. So in the draft document for a solidarity agenda, someone suggests having periodic meetings. So the next one will be in April, June, September, and November. Okay, so they're spaced out. If you agree,
Mr. Ottolini.
Eu acabei não entendendo o Cesare.
Deu interferência.
Yes, so there was a translation into another language and I could not understand Cesare.
So April, June, September, November. And then we'll have periodic continental meetings and probably national meetings as well. The different agenda versions in the different languages can be appropriated by our colleagues from different continents. And then today's the 30th. Maybe I can give you 15 days so that there can be feedback, so that then we can approve the final document, and we will post it on a specific website to make it visible. Mike has suggested having a Google Drive folder or something, but maybe we can try to do something more visible on a graphic level. What do you think about this?
Yes, I think it should be easier. Once we've got the basic data, we can start to make it more interesting.
Au moment où
It will take us a couple of weeks just to let people connect their data and then leave it with us, and we'll make it more interesting.
De acuerdo. Veo que hay algún comentario que está pidiendo de hacer reuniones nacionales, entonces...
So someone is requesting national meetings. Okay, but we are coordinators, we're not the central committee. So if someone would like to have, if someone has national meetings, they should deal with these ones. But we will probably encourage the work of different colleagues that help this coordination at a continental and national level in order to actually approve
No, porque la próxima reunión va a ser en el día...
The next meeting, probably on the first fortnight of April, we will probably continue working together through the mailing list. All of you who agree, we know that we can send you the information. We need to remember that our colleague from the global platform, this year there will be Habitat 3. 5 years have elapsed since the UN's Habitat Congress. Habitat 3 was a landmark in this regard. So we need to remember that as our alliance and other popular organizations have organized a resistance social forum for Habitat 3, and the idea is to open up the debate because different initiatives have been supported, and actually we don't like these initiatives. So the idea is to assess what the message of Habitat 3 was, and if it has had an impact. But now the most important thing is to strengthen re-existence, as we have said before. So, dear colleagues, it's 04, so now we have to say goodbye, take a picture. Are you ready? Can someone take a picture? Are you ready with your cameras? Because it's 3 screens of people. We're still missing some people who haven't turned on the cameras. Lucia Marie as well. My camera is not working.
Sí, 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 por favor. Pero ahora tomamos las fotos. Ale, adelante.
Okay, let's take the picture.
Alessio. Elizabeth Santos. Let's see everybody's faces. It's so important.
I cannot open my webcam. It says it's not allowed.
Who?
Está prohibido para todos.
I'll see. Maybe
Anna. Oui, ça y est, c'est bon.
Merci, Ana ha quedado en silencio, pero ha trabajado hasta ahora. Gracias, Ana, para el trabajo enorme de recopilación.
Thank you, Anna. You have been working silently in order to collect information for the report. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
She's a very important colleague at the CNL in France. Okay, let's take a picture.
Okay. Segunda página. Ustedes también, ¿eh?
Agora apareceu.
Fora Bolsonaro.
Fora Bolsonaro, por favor.
Fora Bolsonaro.
Acá falta Alessio. Ci sei, Alessio? Dove sei?
Allora cosa serve?
Where's Alessio?
Viraci Santos, Vanessa, Maria Teresa, Beatrice, Messini, Adelaide, non la conosco. Por favor.
Todo mundo.
Todo el mundo.
Todos os povos, todos os que sofrem, vacina.
Sí. Mira, en el año 20 del Foro Social Mundial lograr este encuentro es increíble, ¿eh?
O próximo fórum no México.
No México.
2022, estamos vendo para 2022.
Sí, 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 es muy importante. Chao, Ernesto.
Chao.
Un abrazo para todos, ha sido grabado.
Sí.
Les he tenido un cariño y un abrazo para todos. Hemos estado trabajando bien.
Thank you, everyone. We've been working correctly. Let's take the picture.
Gracias, Ernesto.
Thank you.
Thank you for all.
Bye bye. Muchas gracias por la interpretación. También.
Thanks, everybody.
Seguimos en contacto.
Thank you to the interpreters.
Para todos los intérpretes.
Gracias, Martina.
Gracias a Claudia. Gracias. ¿Dónde están los demás? Intérpretes.
Fora Bolsonaro.
Fora Bolsonaro.
Fora Bolsonaro.
Oi.
Graças a todos. Au revoir.
Luis, nos vemos pronto.
Beijo para você.
Todo grabado, sí.
Good night.
Gracias. Nos vemos. Sin duda que sí. Sin duda que sí. Un
Très
abrazo.
prochainement, très prochainement.
Vamos às próximas assembleias daqui a pouco.
Nini, non hai parlato l'Unione Inquilini, tutte le battaglie che stiamo facendo.
Nini, you didn't mention one word with all the fights that were carried on. Nini, you should say something. Now, today I prefer to hear, to listen to, and I will prepare next time.
Ciao Elisabeth.
Ciao, Elizabeth.
Nossa companheira. Obrigada,
Hillary.
Rosa.
Thanks, Hillary.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks, comrade.
Nice to meet you.
Grazie.
We'll speak soon.
Nice meeting you.
Thank
The
you all.
recording is fine.
Ah.